So Death Stranding 2 is out now, and I've been playing quite a bit thanks to early access. So I just thought I would come on here and share some of my thoughts on the game so far. Just a fair warning before we get into things, I don't intend for this video to be spoiler heavy, but when it comes to a highly anticipated release like this, people can be pretty sensitive to spoilers. So I'm only going to be using footage from the early hours of the game primarily, and I'm not going to include any major story bits. Only things that have been shown in some of the marketing and other previews. So with that being said, let's get into it, shall we? So first things first, Death Stranding 2 On the Beach is a straight up continuation of Death Stranding. It continues the story of Sam Porter Bridges, who 11 months after abandoning the UCA with Lou, is called back into action by Fragile, formerly of Fragile Express, to connect Mexico and Australia to the Cairo network and thus pulling humanity from the brink of extinction. But like for real this time, I hope. Pretty basic premise, but anybody that knows Death Stranding and knows Kojima can expect that the intricacies of the story are anything but. This game certainly has the advantage of being a sequel, so all the bizarre lore and rules of the world that were set up in the first game just carry over here, and the game doesn't do a lot to catch you up, it just expects you to know it, which I actually think helps the pacing and overall writing a lot. Don't get me wrong, it's still unconventional and weird as hell, but I feel like there's a bit more cohesion this time around. So far at least. I'm sure down the line things are going to get hella confusing and trippy, but for now I'm able to follow along just fine. But if I ever do get confused about something, Death Stranding 2 added a new feature called the Corpus, where you can go in and read all about the characters and lore. I mean, a lot of games have stuff like this, but in a game like Death Stranding, it actually proves itself to be incredibly useful at times. Death Stranding 2 also introduces a new cast of characters as part of Fragile's new organization called Drawbridge. There's Tarman, Dollman, Charlie, Rainey, and Tomorrow, who I haven't actually met yet in my playthrough, but I'm really looking forward to learning more about her. Now, as for the gameplay, this has seen some considerable improvements as well. I've seen some people recommend this game to people who didn't like the first one because of the improvements made. Would I do this? Maybe. I would say it really depends on what you didn't like about Death Stranding 1. If it was the core gameplay loop that you didn't like, then no, I wouldn't recommend this game to you because that part is pretty much the same. While Kojima has come out and said that Death Stranding 2 has more action than the first game, he couldn't stress enough that this is still a game about making deliveries, and that is what you will spend the bulk of your time in game doing. So if you're a person who didn't mind the delivery part of Death Stranding but found the moment-to-moment gameplay to be too arduous due to a lack of tools and sufficient capabilities, then I would definitely say give Death Stranding 2 a try. The quality of life improvements might just win you over. From vehicles that you unlock much earlier this time to environments that can be tough to traverse but not overly frustrating. They even added a music player to make some of your longer journeys a bit more fun. And while I feel like the first game was overly reliant on having the player cross through BT territory as an obstacle, Death Stranding 2 actually has more hazards that Sam has to look out for and overcome, such as gatequakes, flooding, and sandstorms. I mean, look at this shit. The game also gives you better tools to help deal with human enemies. While it's completely valid to try and avoid them as much as possible, there are plenty of non-lethal weapons that Sam can use to face enemies head on or sneak around in stealth, but it takes a lot of patience. These aren't some it must have been the wind ass enemies. The moment they catch wind of you, your cover is blown and it's guns blazing from there. And while watchtowers are a great way to do some reconnaissance before you enter an enemy base, Dollman can actually be tossed up in the air and used almost like a drone to scope out the area and mark enemies.
Alright, I'm coming in. Nice catch.
Something else that I want to touch on very briefly is the visuals. I mean, come on, this game is obviously a looker. The Decimate engine is an absolute beast. For the longest time, Horizon Forbidden West I considered to be one of the best looking games I had ever played, and this definitely tops that. And I'll admit, I'm usually a fidelity mode gamer. I hate the idea of sacrificing visual fidelity for performance, especially in a game where performance isn't necessarily needed, especially for a game that's very cinematic. I like for it to kind of like, I like for it to look the best that it can. But after watching like Digital Foundry's video where they said, on a PS5 Pro, which is why I played it, the difference between fidelity and performance is borderline non-existent. So it's like the choice is obvious. You go with the performance. You get the performance and you get the visual fidelity all in one package. And oh my gosh, this game just looks insane. I mean, you guys are looking at it. I don't have to say much about this. I haven't gotten very far in Death Stranding 2 on the beach, but what I have played so far has been absolutely incredible, and I cannot wait to completely no-life this game over the next couple of days and see what else DS2 has to offer. But at the end of the day, I don't know what the heck I'm talking about. I'm just a guy with an opinion, and now I want to hear yours. Are you picking up Death Stranding 2 this week? If so, what are you most excited about? Maybe you've already been playing Death Stranding 2. If so, what are your thoughts so far? And if you're absolutely insane, maybe you've already rolled credits. If so, whatever you comment, leave it spoiler free. All right, let's keep it spoiler free in the comments. But yeah, until next time, I'll catch you guys later.